Getting denied from apartments, trying to figure out where to live because I have bad credit. Probably just gonna have to couch surf for a little bit.
The Republican Party absolutely face-planted in their attempt to dunk on the first Gen Z Congressman, Maxwell Frost. So in this video, I will go over what happened. I'll also connect it to another important issue. There is new data that has just come out showcasing where younger voters are moving and how they are bucking a trend that has gone on for decades. But before I get there, Happy New Year. I am back after a week off. So while I was gone, I posted clips. A lot of the videos that were going up were clips from the new podcast that I'm on, The Leftist Mafia, and some people not happy. They really wanted videos from me all Christmas break. Well, I'm sorry. I took a week off. I'm back now, though. So if you are really bothered by those clip shows, I'm here. Don't worry. Here to do the news. All right, so let's get to it. This all starts with this interview that ABC News did with Maxwell Frost, again, the first Gen Z member of Congress, who I've covered a lot in the past when he was first running for this seat in the primary. But John Carl talked to him here. So I'm going to show you a clip from this interview, and I'll get to what the RNC posted and their attempt to dunk on him and how Maxwell Frost responded. And then I'll get to the issue that this all connects to.
You haven't been sworn in yet, but do you feel like a member of Congress yet?
I'm definitely feeling the love, especially from a lot of the Democrats, especially in the different caucuses I'm joining.
And when you were running, you had to do some Uber work, right? You worked as an Uber driver.
Yeah.
Because you needed to live while you were also running for Congress. What's it going to be like up here? I mean, this is not cheap. Do you have to?
Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap. I'm dealing with it right now, getting denied from apartments, trying to figure out where to live because I have bad credit. Probably just gonna have to couch surf for a little bit.
All right, so that interview goes on for about 5 minutes. It's a fairly standard interview, but it's good to have these issues. Some of these issues, like the cost of housing, get a little more primetime attention. So by having someone who is the first Gen Z member of Congress, hopefully we'll see more of those conversations going on. And I'll get to how this connects again to another issue in the latter half of this video. But here is how the RNC, the Republican National Committee, responded to this on Twitter. They posted just a clip from what I showed you. And it's very interesting what they cut out of the clip, notably the beginning. But let me show you here just their 12 seconds that they posted.
What's it going to be like up here? I mean, this is not cheap. Do you have to?
Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap. I'm dealing with it right now, getting denied from apartments, trying to figure out where to live because I have bad credit. Probably just gonna have to couch surf for a little bit.
What's it going to be like up here?
So they cut out the beginning where the host here brings up that Maxwell Frost was an Uber driver, not making a lot of money. Yeah, the RNC replies to this saying, Florida Democrat Congressman-elect Maxwell Frost, whose salary as a member of Congress will be $174,000 a year, says he's probably just going to have to couch surf for a little bit. So attempting to dunk on him as if he is lying because he makes all this money, which, just an aside here, this is, DC is very expensive, but I'm sure this is sort of a mid-range average salary. The issue with Congress people isn't their salary. The issue is the insider trading that they do with the knowledge that they have. We're talking about, 100 millionaires that are within Congress. That is the issue. So when you have that kind of money, you keep a certain kind of company, and that comes out in your politics, whether you're someone like Nancy Pelosi or whether you're someone like Donald Trump. So this is an issue. The salary, not really the issue here. But point being, this is a complete, the RNC is exposing how little they know about the working class. When you are renting or when you make this salary, you aren't given this up front. You are paid usually bi-weekly. Maxwell Frost has not been paid yet. He was an Uber driver. He's in debt because he had to run for Congress as a working class individual that wasn't backed by millionaires. So he responds here to this saying, LOL, so out of touch they don't understand how renting an apartment works. Let me break this down. I don't get my first paycheck till February, and I don't have a lot of money. When you move into an apartment, you pay first, deposit, sometimes last, and for furniture. Look, I don't know. The RNC Republicans operate on a lot of I don't know, dishonesty, right? But I wonder, do they even realize, do they even understand, whoever's running this account, do they even understand how life is for the average individual? I really don't think they do. So they probably thought this was like an amazing dunk. They say here that they call it hypocrisy, exposing the lies, hypocrisy, and failed far left policies of Joe Biden. There's no hypocrisy here. The guy doesn't have money. So he goes on to say, so much for that RNC research. And he's talked a bit about, in the past, his issue trying to find an apartment. So this is from December 8th. He tweeted out, just applied to an apartment in DC where I told the guy that my credit was really bad. He said I'd be fine. Got denied. Lost the apartment and the application fee. This ain't meant for people who don't already have money. Just a point worth making here. As a Canadian, and I think this is true all across the country, the idea of paying to apply to rent an apartment, this is weird. Why do you have to pay to just apply for an apartment? So I looked this up. I know this is illegal, at least in Ontario. I imagine it's also illegal in other provinces, but holy crap. That is just, on its face, ridiculous. Think of the amount of money these landlords make just by forcing you to pay to even apply for the privilege of living in their apartment. Insane to me. But going on, he writes, for those asking, I have bad credit because I ran up a lot of debt running for Congress for a year and a half. Don't make enough money for Uber itself to pay for my living. And then he ends on saying, it isn't magic that we won our very difficult race. For that primary, I quit my full-time job because I knew that to win as a 25-year-old, I need to be a full-time candidate, 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. It's not sustainable or right, but it's what we had to do. So this is also why I think you're hearing a lot more of this issue now, because typically people like this don't run for Congress. So AOC also discussed her issue trying to find an apartment. She was, of course, a bartender. People like Cori Bush as well come from a working class background. So you're hearing a lot more of these stories because you're actually beginning to see more working class individuals join Congress. But for the longest time, that was not the case. And oftentimes, the vast majority of cases, you have to either come from money or know somebody who is incredibly wealthy and represent those wealthy interests to be able to join Congress. And if you are within those circles, you're likely not going to have an issue paying for your first apartment. Now, this is the issue that I want to connect it to. So this data came out on the 30th, December 30th, from John Byrne Murdoch here, saying millennials are shattering the oldest rule in politics. Western conservatives are at risk from generations of voters who are no longer moving to the right as they age. So I will link to this full piece below the video, but this data is very interesting. You should share this around. Millennial voters in the UK and US are not following the typical pattern of growing more conservative as they age. So you see here on the left, this is from the UK, conservative vote share by age within each generation relative to national average. So the national average right here in the middle. Then so you see boomers, as they age, they became more conservative. Silent majority, same thing, more conservative. Gen X even hitting about the national average as they age. Millennials, though, massive drop off. So this looks to be data from about 20 years. So they track age 20 to age 40 here, which is why you're not seeing, Gen Z data. I guess there's too little data to really go off of. But when it comes to millennials, and I'm sure Gen Z is even more striking once we get that data, but complete drop off. And I'll get to likely why this is the case in a second. But also same with the US. So Republican vote share by age within each generation relative to national average. So same thing, silent, boomer, Gen X, all going up, becoming more conservative. Meanwhile, millennials take a nosedive at about the age 30 mark, which coincides around, of course, the financial crisis. So as they write here, let's start with age effects. And the oldest rule in politics, people become more conservative with age. If millennials' liberal inclinations are merely a result of this age effect, then at age 35, they too should be around 5 points less conservative than the national average and can be relied upon to gradually become more conservative. In fact, they're more like 15 points less conservative, and in both Britain and the US are by far the least conservative 35-year-olds in recorded history. And it's important that they have both Britain and the U.S. here because it showcases this isn't just a issue concerning one country and maybe, the politics of one party, one prime minister, in the UK, or one president in the US. This is a global, at least Western, issue that is going on here as it connects to what millennials worldwide are facing. So they also go to write, the most likely explanation is a cohort effect. The millennials have developed different values to previous generations, shaped by experiences unique to them, and they do not feel conservatives share these. This is borne out by U.S. survey data showing that having reached political maturity in the aftermath of the global financial crisis, millennials are tacking much further to the left on economics than previous generations did, favoring greater redistribution from rich to poor. So this all connects, of course, to one of the major issues being housing. So the data is clear that millennials are not simply going to age into conservatism. To reverse a cohort effect, you have to do something for that cohort. Home ownership continues to prove more elusive for millennials than for earlier generations at the same age in both countries. With houses increasingly difficult to afford, a good place to start would be to help more millennials get on the housing ladder. Serious proposals for reforming two of the world's most expensive childcare systems would be another. Housing, of course, major issue. And this is, this isn't just a conservative problem. Democrats have been in charge in the UK. I mean, for a while there haven't been the Labour in charge there. But there hasn't been an actual left-wing attempt at trying to address the housing crisis. So this isn't, I'm saying this because I don't want people to assume that, because they're no longer voting conservative, that means they're definitely going to vote for Democrats or definitely for Labour. That isn't the case either. It's possible they're not going to vote at all because they are falling off completely out of this political system that is largely represented by two parties who are increasingly more interested in corporations and the wealthy. That said, there are aspects of both the Labour Party and of the Democratic Party that do represent the working class. They aren't currently the majority in either party, but they do have a voice somewhere within the political system. Meanwhile, when it comes to conservatives, can you name a single working class Republican that actually cares about issues like the cost of housing? You can't, because there isn't one. Why would they be a conservative? So this is, hopefully data like this will move the leadership of these parties to look at how they can address these actual issues that are impacting people that are going to end up being the largest voting base at some point very soon. So if you want to start, if all you care about is winning, if you're a political party, all you care about is winning elections, then it would be in your interest to do something substantial, something real to actually impact and improve the material conditions of younger voters.